Right, the first of the colour images is called Wellspring. And you've got Wellspring, the name of the boat.
The print up again, sorry. Behind you.
That helps, doesn't it? Especially when I'm judging the print. Right. So you have the boat, the old wreck or ruin of a boat, taken from a fairly low angle, creating this nice sort of shape, the triangular shape here. Lovely colours, and the sides of the boat still remaining. You've got some nice reeds on the left-hand side. You've got a river on the right, and nice trees in the distance. The print is let down. You can just see it and no more. And the sky has been processed to try and bring in detail, but unfortunately, it's just it's been over-processed, and you can just see lines here of different colours, so that it just looks quite marked in the print and let down for that reason. So Wellspring gets 15 points. And this is called Brideshead Revisited. So you have the old house, looking at the print rather than the image, the projected image, which is a little brighter. I just felt the light was a little bit flat. It would have been helped perhaps by better light. And the house has got a lot of detail. It's all sharp, interesting detail all around the roof and around the dome. You've got the lead-in from the hedges on the left. And of course, you've got this figure kicking around the edge of the hedge. Now, it would have been so easy to remove that when processing. Now, I assume the author wanted to retain the figure. And, I asking myself, does it help to have the figure? And I think it does. I think without the figure, again, it's just a little lacking, just having the house and the hedges on their own. So I think perhaps adding the figure was a good thing. And Brideshead Revisited scored 16 points. Eagle Owl. Again, a bit overexposed in the projected image, but the print is a good range of tones, nicely exposed. Rather a mottled background, so slightly distracting background. I feel the biggest problem with the print is that the only thing that's sharp is the face and the eyes. Now, obviously that's what you have to have sharp, the eyes and the face, but it is such a small part of the print. There's a little bit of the tail that's sharp also, but even the claws and the legs are just lacking in sharpness a bit, and the wings are not sharp. So I just feel it needs a bit more sharp in the image. So it falls down because of that. And Eagle Owl gets 15 points. And this is called Flying Squirrel. Terrific image. You've got the squirrel jumping towards you, and the photographer has just caught the squirrel mid-flight. Everything is sharp around the head, the ears, the forepaws. Lacking sharpness in the tail and also in the hind limbs a little, but there's enough there to retain the interest. The lovely diffuse background compared to the mottled background of the previous print, and lovely colour. You're not seeing colours there. There's a sort of heathery colour around here, purple, heathery purple. So a lovely print. It is becoming you're beginning to see more and more of these flying squirrels, and if you just go along and get your shot. So that's the only slight concern I have. But despite that, I felt that it's such a good image, or good print, it should still get 20 points. This is called a cluster of one. And the detail, you really have to be up close in the print to see the detail, incredible detail around the head. And the whole fly is sharp. And I assume it's been taken with focus stacking. I'm not sure what it's sitting on. Some bit of food or something has attracted it. The projected image looks very good round the edge here, but in the print, you have to see the print to appreciate there's a slight problem round the edge. There's a darker pink around behind the hairs, round the backside there, and a little over the top, whereas you lose it in the projected image. I don't know whether this is a problem with focus stacking. I don't tend to do focus stacking. So perhaps it's just one of the difficulties about focus stacking, I don't know. But that just let it down a little. The other thing is, this is the head and the four structures there are the main subject in the image, and I just felt it was just a little near our left-hand side here. I just would have liked a little more space there to bring the head into the thirds, or towards the thirds at least. So, but nevertheless, good image, gets 17 points. This is called Storm Brewing, and this, I guess it's taken somewhere up in Scotland. The print comes across darker than the projected image, as all these have been. You have your couple standing in the beach, lovely colours in the water, turquoisey water beyond, and it looks as though the author has produced a vignette, a darkening vignette, to help bring your eye in towards the couple in the beach. And I think it's perhaps slightly overdone, but I think it helps to some extent. The sky, I think, has been a little overworked, but just enough. I think the author perhaps just gets away with that. But I think there's been some work done to bring out detail in the sky. But I like the image, I like the print, and Storm Brewing at 17 points. And this is called Colony. Again, I think the print is far better than the projected image, because the detail that we're seeing in this gannet is just fantastic in the print. Lovely, lovely detail right along the wings and the body. Everything's completely sharp. And I think the author, I suppose I would have preferred the gannet, the big gannet, to be at an angle, but it's right across the middle of the print. I think the author has perhaps felt that the sky has been a bit bland, and I think the multiple gannets that you see, the colony of gannets, I think has been put in processing. The reason, certainly one of them has been put in, because you can't see it when you look at detail on the print itself. Because one of the small gannets overlies the big gannet. So, if you're going to do that sort of thing, be very careful that you don't have one overlying the big gannet. There's another tiny dot there, which could be another one there, and there's one just squeezed in between the wings, so that's all right. But fantastic detail in the bird, and you really have to come and look at the print closely. And Colony gets 17 points, despite the problems of processing. This is called Barn Owl in Flight. Lovely image, again brighter in the projected image than on the print. The barn owl's wings in a beautiful position, nicely positioned in the frame. There's some detail in the background. You just get the impression of trees down the right-hand side and along the foreground. There's also, just in the print, there's a couple of lines which are hard to see. I'm not sure whether that's it there, but there's a couple of lines appearing. So maybe there's a fence been there, and it's the sort of thing, if it's not a nature shot, it'd be worth just taking out. The light has maybe been a little flat, but I think the author has done pretty well in getting all the detail in the bird, losing a little bit of detail just in that forehead of the owl. It's a difficult spot to catch. So barn owl in flight is 18 points. And this is Dalmore Beach. Dalmore Beach on the west side of the Isle of Lewis. Pleasant shot of the beach. You've got foreground of rocks. You've got this lovely wave detail and a sort of pinnacle of rock here and some more a rock face behind it. In a way, I felt it was unfortunate that the tide didn't come in a bit further. I think I'd have liked to see the water splashing around these rocks. I think that would have helped. But as it's presented, I think the main point of interest are the waves splashing around here. Perhaps cropping down there might have produced a better image, or a more interesting image. It's a bit dark, not so much in the projected image, but in the print, the rock face here is just a little darker than I'd like it to be. I'd just like to see a bit more detail in the print. So nice print, but it just needs something to lift it, and it gets 15 points. Preparing to land, another image of a gannet, and in this case, the projected image, I think, comes out better than the print, except for a bit of burnout over the back, and so it looks worse there, but there is still a bit of burnout in the back of the neck and the body, and just some of the wings. The problem with the print is that the dark sea in the background is very dark, and we're just not getting separation of the tip of the wing from the sea. Whereas in the projected image, you do get separation. So, again, that's something the author could go back and work in the print, and just try and bring back detail if that's possible around this area. But potentially a good image, just let down a little bit, particularly in the print. And preparing to land gets 16 points. And this is Rainbow over the Buckle. Lovely landscape, and the author has done remarkably well to have the rainbow just positioned nicely over Buckle, out of Moor, and the river in the foreground. A fairly slow shutter speed has been selected, and we're losing just a bit of detail. It's the water flowing over the rocks is just a bit milky, no detail at all in these areas. I'd just have liked to see just a slightly faster shutter speed, bringing out a little more detail in the water. And I did wonder in the print about just taking an inch or so off the top. I just feel this part of the sky is just a bit too much, and just bringing it down to the top, almost to the top of the rainbow, just helps to enclose things a bit better. So I think that might have helped. But a nice print, and the rainbow beautifully caught, gets 17 points. And this is called Wait for Me. And you've got your Scotty dog hammering towards the photographer, and off the ground, everything seems to be off the ground, great motion shot. Looking at detail in the print, it's not, the whole thing is not quite as sharp as I'd like to see it. and the eyes are just lacking, just a little bit dark. It would be nice to see just a bit of detail or a bit of catch light in the eyes, but difficult to get everything sharp when the dog's coming at this speed towards you, but that just lets the print down a little. So wait for me, get 16 points. Female sparrowhawk. Image of a sparrowhawk and presumably in a hide setup, coming down to sit on the mossy log or perch, looking straight at the author. You've got a bit of fern coming in on the left side there, and in a way that just it distracts a little. The print is let down a little because right throughout the background and throughout the bird itself, there's just a bit of noise, and I think that's perhaps the author has tried to sharpen the bird more than the background, because the noise is a little irregular. You really have to look closely at the print to see that. So sparrowhawk, a female sparrowhawk is 15 points. Diving for the corner. A great action shot. Great range of tones in the print, a bit bright in the projected image, but you've got the player just going for the line. And the author's done very well just to have this selected group of players. I mean, the one problem with rugby images is to get rid of all the other players and just focus down on the relevant individuals, and it's done well here. I'm not quite sure, there seems to be another figure. You've got this chap, this chap, this chap, and this chap here, but there seems to be someone else lying in some way behind. And in a way that's a pity, because that's taking you out the image there. It'd be nice just to get rid of that. The other point to comment on is that it would have been better just to darken this house, or even just clone it out with some more trees and clone out these yellow patches and perhaps that bright patch there, because everything just tends to take your eye up to that top left corner. But a really good print, diving for the corner, gets 18 points. Yeah. Street music. You've got the group of street players, the one looking towards the photographer, the others looking away. Unfortunately, the only thing that's really sharp in the image is this drum in this corner, so that the focus, depth of focus has been focused on the drum and is not deep enough to have the other players sharp. So the print falls down for that reason. So street music gets 14 points. And this image is called Approaching Storm. I just love this image. You have the storm, the background, rain coming in into the valley here. You've got light coming in, picking off the cottage, an interesting cottage set on the right-hand side with some outhouses with nice red roofs, corrugated iron roofs on the left. Nice composition and lovely light, which is still lighting up. I think the author has probably vignetted the edge, darkened down the edge, but that's great. That's just helped to bring your eye into the main part of the house and these other outhouses. So lovely image. No doubt at all in my mind that this gets 20 points. And this is called Fine Dining Glasgow Style. an interesting image. I think the author's to be commended for just actually getting his camera out and shooting this Blue Lagoon fish and chip shop. There's a lot of things going on round about. I mean, with this type of street photography is always difficult to try and have your subject just restricted to the point of interest. And there's a lot happening here. There's girls sitting in the ground eating their fish and chips, other characters here, and something going on the left. Perhaps rather unusually, the print, you see as much in the print, if not more in the print, as you do. This image looks a bit darker in the projected image. First I thought it was too distracting and I was scoring it a bit low, but the more I looked at it, the more I began to like the image. And in the end, it got 16 points. Miss Pollard. Now, I don't know whether Miss Pollard is the horse or the rider, but the author's done well to just have the horse and rider going over the jump and nothing else, no other distractions. So that's great. And where the print falls down a little is that it's very contrasty, and you've got some highlights, very prominent highlights over the horse's forequarter, and also down, just a bit burnt out down in the jodhpur here. So that I think you need to go back and try and control that a bit better. This dandelion also seems to catch my eye a bit. That's a fairly small point. But overall, Miss Pollard got 15 points for the print. Windows, you have your architectural shot looking up. You get building on the left and reflection on the right of this part of the building, and then this part of the building is picking up the reflections from the other side. So you've got intersecting reflections. This image, the print, I found my eye was just tending to wander around. It didn't have anywhere to settle, and I think you want to try and always have your viewer focusing down on the main point of the subject, whereas I was taking out both sides here, and a bright part right up at the top of the image, that's the bright part of the sky. So the windows get 14 points. Take that image of presumably bear cubs, one thumping the other, or presumably playing. Very good image, very good to be in a situation where you can take a shot like that. It's so close, it's no doubt a long lens, but I don't know how far away the author actually is. But great to catch an image like that. It's all sharp. Perhaps the background is perhaps a little distracting. It would have been nicer if that was more out of focus, but it's not bad. And take that, get 19 points. This is called Have a Heart. So you've got some rhododendron leaves lying on top of a tree stump, and some greenery down the right hand side. And the rhododendron leaves are shaped like a heart. Presumably that's why the author's given it this title. And are these leaves, have they been arranged like that, or did the author find them like that? I don't know. But I think it just lacks impact for a competition when you're comparing it against some of these other images. It just doesn't have the impact of these other prints. So take Have a Heart, got 14 points. This is called Common Blue. This is a beautiful image of the common blue butterfly, beautifully sharp all around these, the detail, all the details there. I think that the image is a little overexposed compared to the prints, just right, except perhaps for a tiny streak down the front of the wing there. It's quite prominent in the print, and I wonder if there's any detail there that could be brought back. I was really swithering. This almost got 20 points, but not quite in the end. And the reason it didn't get 20 in the end was because this part of the stem that it's sitting on is sharp. And this is out of focus, nicely out of focus, but this part kept catching my eye. And it's just a bit unfortunate because you can't do anything about that. So that's why I only scored 19 points rather than 20 points. And this is called crested tit, as you see. Your crested tit sitting on a perch, nice perch, beautifully sharp round the head, losing it a little in the tail and just under the belly here, but sharp in all the important areas. Lovely diffuse background, crested tit, 18 points. And our last colour print is a kingfisher. And these are lovely birds. The kingfisher just looks as though he's playing with his minnow before he swallows it. He's sitting on an interesting perch. All the details there in the bird, beautifully sharp. Lovely diffuse background. We're seeing a lot of kingfishers now, and again, I suppose you could say it's just a bird on a stick, but beautiful image, and kingfisher get 18 points. And that.